Word problems with rates. In this video, we'll set up our rates using units and words from the problem, and then we'll solve the word problems. Charmaine runs 4 miles in 30 minutes. At the same rate, how many minutes would she take to run 10 miles? Well, the first thing to do in these problems is to set up the rate. So we have 4 miles in 30 minutes, and the units are miles and minutes. So I'm going to write out miles over minutes so that I can keep track of which unit I'm using in which spot. You could have written minutes on the top. It wouldn't make any difference in the end, but you have to choose. So she runs 4 miles, so I'm going to put 4 in the miles spot in 30 minutes. So that's 30 in the minutes spot. Now at the same rate, how many minutes? So minutes is the thing I want to find, and I put X in the minutes spot. 10 is the miles. This is a proportion, and we solve by cross multiplying, which means the 4 times the x has to be equal to the 10 times the 30. That's cross multiplying. That gives me 4x equals 300. And so x equals 75. Now that's nice, I found x, but this is a word problem, and so I need to figure out what that means that I found x. Well, X stood for the number of minutes. This is why it's so helpful to have this written out here. X stood for the number of minutes it would take to run 10 miles. So how long would it take her to run 10 miles? It would take 75 minutes. A motor oil contains 2 liters natural oil for every 3 liters of synthetic oil. In order to make 310 liters of this motor oil, how many liters of synthetic oil are needed? Well, first look for your units to set up your rate. So what I have here is natural oil and synthetic oil. So we're going to look at the proportion of natural to synthetic. Now I have 2 liters of natural oil for every 3 liters of synthetic oil, so that's my first proportion. Now my second proportion, it says I want to make 310 liters in all. So I'm going to, the natural plus the synthetic is going to be 310. Well, let's call the natural A and the synthetic B, and that would give me A plus B equals 310 in total. I want to find the synthetic. That's what I'm looking for in the end. So if I solve for B in the whole equation, that will give me the number of liters of synthetic oil. So I'll replace A with an expression in B. A equals 310 minus B. Now I can stick that in the A spot right there. So it will say now that 2 over 3 is equal to 310 minus B over B. Now I can cross multiply. 2 times B is equal to 310 minus B times 3. 3 times 310 is 930, so that's 930 minus 3B. I'll add 3B to each side, and that will give me 5B equals 930. And when I divide by 5, I find B equal to 186. So let's look at B then. B is right here. It's synthetic oil and it's liters. So how many liters of synthetic oil are needed? 186 liters. A plane has a cruising speed of 150 miles an hour when there is no wind. At this speed, the plane flew 300 miles with the wind. So here the wind is helping it along. It's blowing in the same direction the plane is going. In the same amount of time, it flew 200 miles against the wind. So that's down here. The wind is blowing this way. The plane is trying to go this way. It's a fight. Find the speed of the wind. Well, we know that distance equals rate times time. And what we have in this problem is the same amount of time for two different rates and distances. So if I solve this equation for t, I get t equals d over r. So that's the proportion I'm going to set up. It's going to be distance over rate. Now I can write the two situations that are both the same amount of time because distance over rate is equal to time. So the plane flew 300 miles, that's a distance, with the wind. So it started out going 150, but the wind was helping it go faster with its wind speed. And so it started going faster. It's 150 miles an hour plus the speed of the wind. Now it flew 200 miles against the wind, so the distance is 200, and the wind speed is now working against the plane. It's subtracting from the 150. So 150 minus the wind is my second part of the proportion. Well, now that we've figured that out, I can cross multiply and solve the proportion. 300 times 150 minus W is equal to 200 times 150 plus W. Now, I don't really want to multiply 300 times 150 and have all those zeros, so before I start, I'm going to just divide both sides by 100 to make the numbers smaller. That gives me smaller numbers to work with. 3 times 150 is 450 minus 3 times W, and 2 times 150 is 300 plus 2 times W. Well, let's keep things positive. I'll subtract 300 from each side, and I'll add 3W to each side. And that's going to give me 450 minus 300, 150, and 2W plus 3W, 5W. So if 5W equals 150, then W equals 30. The speed of the wind is 30 miles an hour.